Hey guys, let's do a walkthrough of short form 2. Short form 2 takes lessons we've learned in short form 1 and long form 1 and takes it to the next level. With short form 1, we spent our whole time backing away with just our defensive moves. When we get to long form 1, we're still working on the same plus sign, 12, 6, 3, and 9, as we retreat. But as we retreat this time, we add in something new, because you always want to add something new into your forms as you graduate to the next level. And in long form 1, we start adding offense. So short form 1, I'm blocking, long form 1, I'm blocking, and then punching as I retreat. We're also adding the double factor into our long form 1, okay? When we get into, and I also want to point out, when you're working on long form 1, you're blocking and then punching. Everything is and then. Okay? We're not doing timing of 2s together, right? When we get into short form 2, that starts to change. Not only are we working from 12, 6, 3, and 9 on the plus sign, we take that plus sign and we move it also to the corners of the room, okay? And now mostly on short form 2, we stay behind the 3 and 9 o'clock line, except for the very intro where we go forward with our strikes. Everything is kind of going backwards on the back half of the room. Okay. We never really go up the lines up in the corners of the room here, going towards 10:30 and 1:30 until we get to long form 2. Okay. We're also going to add the timing of 2 moves at the same time, and typically that's a defense and an offense. We're going to retreat from our opponent as they strike and then move in at the same time. So we're starting to bridge the gap going forward. You're going to see that right off the bat at the beginning, and we do that throughout the form. Okay? So this gets a lot trickier as we run through this form. I'm going to do another video that talks about the clock principle and the directions of our eyes versus our toes, and our knees and our hips and things like that. This way you can kind of watch that, and then that's going to help you a lot in this form. I'm going to mention some of that stuff as we go through this form, but this I want to just kind of build upon the directions of the form, where we're headed, what types of weapons we're using, what types of stance changes are we using, because we're going to add new stances into this form that we haven't used quite yet. So watch the other video, then watch this one as well, okay? So here, we're going to go forward. We start the same way as we did before, but now that we're in short form 2, just like we did in long form 1, we signify. So with long form 1, I had one finger over my backdrop. In short form 2, I'd have 2 fingers, but I would be just showing up to the first knuckle of my fingers. So that means short 2 over my backdrop. And I would move forward, just like I did in long form 1 with my salutation. Drop back. Clear out to my meditating horse. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Around. And now I would start going forward. So I'm going to kind of do something like 5 swords. You've already learned 5 swords at this point if you're working with this form. But we're going to show how we do it with a close hand to an open hand. So it's pretty similar. It's just the same. We're going to learn how to savor the flavor with our stances. And what that means is if I have 2 strikes and I only have 1 major stance change, how can I gain power without throwing the stance change to the very first strike and having nothing from my second strike? So we're going to kind of break that into 2 pieces, okay? So let's say we're here ready. I'm going to come forward with my right foot to 12 as I use an inward block to their punch. They're throwing a right roundhouse punch. And as soon as I hit that right punch, rather than go into a forward bow here with my chop to the neck and have nothing if I was to do a 5 swords type of drill like I'm going to do in long form 2, I learn now that, wait a minute, I can use just my hips to turn. So if I had to, I would have another stance change with the next strike. Again, we're not going to do that in short form 2, but it's a prelude to what we're going to do in long form 2. So that thinking is going to carry you over to the next belt. Okay? So I came forward into a right neutral bow and I blocked. I settled in my base. And the next move is I go not into a forward bow again, I just turn my hips as I strike to the neck. Okay? And now I'm going to go forward again with my left foot. As I do that, my left hand's going to shoot up, my right hand's going to go to chamber with a closed fist. I block and turn my hips as I chop, not my feet. And now from here, as a punch starts to come, I'm going to learn that I can retreat first So I go into a cat stance. And as I do that, we do something we call cup and saucer. Cup and saucer is my bottom hand, my outside hand is the bottom, and it's kind of in the shape of like a little saucer cup. And my top hand, the direction that I want to go, which is to my left, is going to be on top. It's kind of like a piggyback strike. We call this a piggyback strike, or similar to a piggyback strike. And now from here, I'm wound up, I'm chambered. So if I was to turn from here and punch, it's at chamber. If I was to turn and back knuckle with my left hand, I'm chambered. If I was to turn and block with my left hand with an outside block, an outward block, I'm chambered. So a cup and saucer allows me to chamber both hands at the same time, all going towards a specified direction, which is dictated by the top hand, okay? Where were we? So we're here and we blocked. We're turning our hips. I retreat into a 45-degree cat stance, facing 12 o'clock with my left foot. And now what I do is I take my left foot and I go just over the line, towards about 7:30, maybe even 8 o'clock with my left foot. So when I unwind from that position, my left hand goes vertical, just like I did as a yellow belt and a white belt, but instead I also add a horizontal punch. This is happening together, so coordination, timing. So I step, and as I step, I'm unwinding together. So I'm in a left neutral bow facing 9 o'clock. My right hand was the backhand, my left hand's high. And now I do the same thing on the other side. My right hand, my right leg comes up into a cat stance as my right hand goes on top as the saucer, as the cup this time. And that dictates that I'm going to go to my right side, which is 3 o'clock. So we're still working on the 12, 6, 3, and 9 lines right now. Again, I take my right foot, I find about 5 o'clock from here. As I unwind, both hands shoot out together. So my right is as vertical as I can get it to be, and my left is just shooting parallel with the floor, to the chest, to the neck. Okay, I'm here. Now remember, this is just a drill. Because maybe in a real street scenario, I can punch into the face or punch it vertical to the solar plexus. But in this drill, we're in this direction, nice and horizontal. Okay? And now from here, we're going to do a crossover to 5 o'clock with my left foot. So I take my left and do a rear crossover behind. We're starting to get more advanced in our cover stepping or stepping into danger now with our angle changes. I'm going from 3 up a quarter of the clock. As a white belt, I learned to step away. As an orange belt, I learned to step right into danger. So I've done those 2 types of steps to change my angle. Now I'm going to learn to do a twist stance or a crossover if we're talking about the foot maneuver. And now as I unwind, rather than being here in cup and saucer, I'm going from where I'm found, my point of origin. My right hand is up, point of reference for hammering, which means I get to hammer downwards. And my left hand is chambered. As long as I drop my elbow, it's in a great position to do an upward block. So that's what I'm going to do from here. I'm going to unwind, and as I do that, I'm going to sink down what we call the spiraling staircase. I get underneath my opponent's strike. Okay? So again, I twist, and I start to unwind and sink down. So here's the position I want to be in, a wide kneel stance. A wide kneel stance is to change my level without bending forward. So I use my legs to do that job, okay? And it's also, as we get progressed into the techniques of purple belt, we're using it to check legs. And sometimes we'll even use it to strike legs. And as you get into green belt and brown belt, you start using that as an actual strike on the ground where somebody's laying down, you're dropping into close kneel, or your wide kneel stance is hitting elbows, hitting knees, and things like that as a strike. So it progresses pretty quickly, okay? So again, we're here. I stay right from point of origin, step to 5 o'clock, and I unwind and my right hand just goes downwards. And as that happens, my left hand goes vertical. So when it goes vertical, my elbow just inherently drops right there. And then I go back up the line. So I'm blocking his overhead strike and coming up underneath it and scraping right down his body with a middle knuckle strike. And I wind back up parallel with the floor. So I come down and wind up. So we're here, neutral bow. Into a wide kneel stance at the bottom of the staircase. Right hand goes down, left hand goes up with a middle knuckle strike through the groin, horizontal to the floor. And now I'm at the bottom of the staircase, so I do not stand back up again because I got to do the other side. And the other side is the same thing where somebody's throwing an overhead strike. I'm already under the weapon, so I'm going to stay underneath that weapon. So now I take a V step. Watch my head. It doesn't move as I bring my right foot to my left. I V step in, so there's one line of the V. Second line of the V goes out to 130. And as I unwind, I'm in a wide kneel again. And my right hand goes up and my left hand goes from point of origin down through the groin, back up. So now I'm parallel with the floor. And now I'm going to cover step all the way facing 6. But when I get there, I notice somebody's coming from the corner of the room at my 430 direction. Okay? So from here, I'm going to go all the way into a cat stance. You see I took my right foot with me. So now my right foot's facing 730, my left foot's facing 6. Okay? So I was here in a wide kneel. I spring up. And now as that kick comes from the corner of the room, I step out. And I rotate on the heel of my foot as I block that kick in a neutral bow. Now, make note here, I am facing the corner of the room. I'm facing 430. I would never stand facing 12 o'clock with both my feet facing forward to fight you. Okay? That's not a neutral bow. A neutral bow is when my feet are not facing the same direction as my opponent. So when I'm facing 430, my feet should not be facing 430 because I'm doing the same wrong thing that I was just doing showing the camera, just to that angle. My feet want to face 6 o'clock when I'm facing 430 in the left neutral bow. Okay? So I have a downward block here, and as soon as I block, I step through this line. Strike. If I'm facing 430 in a right neutral bow, my feet should be facing 3 o'clock. Okay? And I'm chambered at the same time. And now my right foot is going to slide back to 6. Cup and saucer, left on bottom, right on top. And here comes a kick from 730. I step out, rotate on the heel of my foot, and block that kick. Okay? As soon as I step through, I'm here. Now I said on the other side you should be chambered. You shouldn't be chambered. You should be on guard here. So your left hand checks on that first side and my right hand checks here. My mistake. Okay? So we're here. And look at my feet. They're facing 9 o'clock as my eyes are facing 730. So let's just walk through up to that point one more time. So I'm here. Let's say we just got to this point. We signified and did our salutation. I go forward. 1, turn my hips. 2. I step with my left, block 1, chop 2. I suck it up here, cup and saucer. I'm going to my left hand's on top. I step back to 730, unwind to neutral bow, and strike. My right foot comes up into a cat stance. Boy, these 45-degree cat stances are everywhere in this form. It's a good way to retreat before you step back into danger. Right hand's on top. Unwind and block. And now I'm going to go to my 6 o'clock. Left foot to 430, I'm sorry. Unwind, sink down to the floor, back up parallel. V-step. 1, back to 130, unwind from point of origin. My hands just collapse and raise up, middle knuckle down, vertical with the horizontal with the floor, parallel. Still in a wide kneel stance. And now I spring up and face 6. Here comes an opponent from 430. So I step out, pivot on the heel of my foot, block down. My block becomes a check as I step forward and heel palm to the face, looking down, toe heel alignment facing my opponent. Toes are facing at 3 o'clock. And now I bring it up again. My left knee does not stand straight up, it stays bent. And now I do the other side. So I go towards 730 with the right downward block. Feet are going right towards 6 o'clock. I step in, right hand turns to a check as I unwind, left hand goes to the face. My feet are going towards 9 o'clock. I don't want my feet facing where my eyes are facing, 7:30. It's not a fighting stance. Now neutral. Okay. Now from here, I have somebody coming from 1:30. So I'm going to do this in-place cat stance change, like I've been doing around the last couple areas here, to get to 1 o'clock, so I'm retreating. If I just take my right foot and step back, I'm stepping into my opponent. I'm trying to retreat from my opponent, survey the situation before I act. Okay? So I do that with a cat stance. So from here, I suck in my cat stance. Okay? Bring it in. Now, as I do that, here comes my double factor. My left hand shoots across my face because it was already out. So it just makes a straight line to connect to that punch right across as I cat stance in. My cat stance is 45 degrees. My left foot's facing 10:30. My right foot's facing 12. As I block that punch, I step out to 1 o'clock. Now when I was here, you can see my right foot's facing 12. When I step to 1:30, I don't change the direction of those toes. It's already facing where it needed to face. So I just plant it forward to 1:30. I've already retreated, and now I'm going to do the next part of my technique. My left foot in a cat stance is facing 10:30. Again, when I come out of that cat stance, I got to rotate on the back heel again. So now both my toes, both my feet are facing 12. As I block at 1:30 with an extended outward block, so if I was to do this all together, this is kind of a tricky move right here. Cat stance in as my left hand goes across my face, connecting with this punch. My right hand was here. And now as I rotate on my heel and step in, my right hand does an extended outward block and throws away that punch here. And now I go into a forward bow with my left foot facing the direction of my opponent as I do a half fist to the throat and bring it back to chamber. Now look at my toes. They're facing 12 o'clock. My chamber is facing 1:30 because I brought it back in a straight line. And now my right hand is on guard, point of reference for hammering. I'm going to take my left foot and step into a cat stance. Okay, so I suck it into a cat stance, and it's facing 12 o'clock. I'm going to block across my face like I did on the left side, on the right side, and I step up towards 10:30. My right foot adjusts to where it needs to go to 12. I block, forward bow, my half fist, unwind, making sure when I unwind, I don't unwind like this. I keep it at 12. And from here, I drop back. So my feet come together, my knees stay bent, my head doesn't go up or down. I was already in a stance before. I just maintain that same height in my legs. Finish my horse. If I began my form with my salutation, and I will end with my salutation. So that's short form 2. Let me do a run through facing the camera, and then I'll do a run through on the other side. Okay. So to save time, I'm just going to start from here. 1, 2. 1, 2. Bring it in. Left hand on top. Neutral bow. Bring it in. Neutral bow. Twist stance. Now I go into a wide kneel stance, and I stay there. I stay low. Bring it up. Get my posture back. Drop. Step in. Heel pump. Retreat. Go into danger. Here. Cat stance. Cross. Pick it up. Step out. Half fist, back to neutral. Retreat, across. This is going towards 10:30. Step in, half fist, bring it back, drop, and close my form the way I opened my form. Now let's do it facing the opposite direction. And that is short form 2. Practice, practice, practice. Really go back to the angled, the clock principle video, and that's really going to help you with your feet. You're trying to find those angles, trying to find where your feet go, where your eyes go. It's important. So work, work, work. Get any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Thank you, guys.